It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. On this, the 4th day of September 2023, coming to you from, I'm not sure exactly where we are. We're on our way to Ketchikan, Alaska. I don't think we're supposed to land until 9:30 or something like that. 10 o'clock's a little bit later. Landing this morning in Ketchikan. Before we get to the news today, folks, got a couple things that I need to share with you. One, I'm not sure what I'm going to do today in Ketchikan. I opted out of going on the Misty Fjords tour. Not that I didn't want to go on that tour, but I've really had some struggles on the excursions. Were they worth it? Oh, yeah. I have had two of the most magnificent excursions the last 2 days I could ever dream of. And any of you guys that are planning a trip to Alaska in the future, be prepared, because I'm going to hammer the hell out of you to contact Nate for excursions, because they are so much better than we saw sea lions, we saw seals, we saw bald eagles, including one that was flying around and dove down right next to the boat and got a fish out of the water right in front of all of us. It was just incredible to see. It was just great. My problem with the excursion, folks, is not anything to do with the excursions. I'm at the point where I'm really struggling getting on and off buses. My chair, of course, is taken care of by the staff, so I don't have to worry about that. It folds up. They put it on the bus, so I don't have to mess with it. But I still got to get up those 3 or 4 steps. And it is, even since I was on the Joy, it's become more difficult for me to do. So I opted out of taking a travel again today. Again, though, to balance, folks, no, and I went into this with wide open eyes. I knew what I was going to have to do to get on these excursions. Balancing that, was it worth it? Oh my goodness, yes. Would I do it again? Oh, no question. That's how good they were. So that's where we stand with that. Now, I've been really open with everybody about Sapphire Princess and the accessibility issues. I found a number of things on board that are not ADA compliant, a number of things that affect me directly, like the door to my cabin, which, yes, the medallion unlocks the door, but then I still have to fight with opening the door and getting the scooter or the chair, whichever one I'm using at that time, in and out of the room. The public restrooms they're marked to be ADA compliant, but none of them are. None of them have automatic doors or push button doors. They're just very difficult to get into. Many of them you have to make crazy turns and then still have to fight with the door. There's a lack of room inside. It's just they're not compliant. There are a number of barriers throughout the ship where sections between one section of the ship onto another section that might have a 1.5 or 2-inch metal lip that are high enough that as I go over, not only is it a major jolt to the system, the scooter actually drags. The bottom of the scooter drags across the lip. I've seen a couple places on the ship that are actually too high even to attempt to get the scooter over, that are more like a step over. So that's a complete barrier that cuts off part of the ship to the disabled community. There are a number of areas on the ship, like the sanctuary. Nate had paid for the sanctuary when we were in Glacier Bay National Park, and he wanted me to come up to the sanctuary. I couldn't get there. There's no elevator to the sanctuary deck. You have to walk up a flight of stairs. There's no lifts. There's no lifts on any of the pools or hot tubs. Would I have gotten in the pools or hot tubs on this cruise? Probably would have, because Nate enjoys the pools and hot tubs, and I would have had somebody to do it with. And yes, I have not gotten to the point of being happy about the lift chairs, but I've learned from Christy and some of my other friends how important they are to them. So I'm going to give it a shot. And now I certainly want to promote more and more ships having it. So anyway, I've had a reasonably long list of things that I felt was wrong. When I got back on the ship yesterday, I had a meeting with the hotel manager, guest services, special needs coordinator. And it was just a phenomenal meeting. The first thing I did, of course, I explained the situation. I went through basically what I had found in my survey of the ship. Now, that's not all complaints. I also point out the good things, because I do it in such a way that I'm pointing out or suggesting issues that they may or may not know about, so that hopefully they can do something about it. Okay? I don't go in from the standpoint of this isn't compliant, you need to fix it. That's just not my style. They were taking a lot of notes. So basically, when I finished going down my laundry list, he explained to me, he says, I just transferred over from Emerald Princess. That's the ship that Kenneth and Robin are on right now. And he said, ADA folks came in and did a survey, much like you have done. And he said, their results are almost identical to your results on this ship. He said, so that tells me how thorough you have been. He says, now here's the situation that all cruise lines are facing right now. If they sail from the United States, they must be ADA compliant by, I don't remember the date, a certain date in the future. So on Emerald Princess, on the older ships, the newer ships should now be ADA compliant when they're built, which has not been the case even as early as last year. But on the Emerald, they had a time period, 60 days or something, to fix it, fix all the issues, to have them ready. So, and he said, 1 week after they concluded that survey, they had a team on the ship making the repairs, making the adaptations, and making the changes that needed to be made to make it ADA compliant, which is almost my identical list of things that I had wrong. So I felt really good about that. My issues with the ship are going to be fixed. So I'm delighted. He said that he thought that we would be the next ship, the next of the old ships to be studied. So that's awesome. I'm glad that the ships have to become ADA compliant. That's just terrific news. Doesn't mean that we won't still have problems to deal with, but I think it's going to be a lot better for all of us in the disabled community. I was able to point out one thing to him that he was not aware of, and that was the Santa Fe dining room, that half of the dining room is for anytime dining or whatever they call it on Princess. The other half was supposedly for suite guests, I think. And they wanted me. I was actually having dinner with another disabled guest, also on a scooter. They wanted us to park our scooters, go up a step, and walk half the length of the dining room to get to a table. I said, I can't do that. I cannot walk that far. And they said, well, then we cannot serve you. I said, wait a minute. There's 6 empty tables over here, and it's level, that are open. He says, oh, well, that's for suite guests. I said, well, you can't make an exception for 2 handicapped guests? And they said, no. So they left. I mean, they did help us get reservations in another restaurant. Well, when I told him that story, he went bonkers. He said, all the things on your list, he said, I can't do anything about that. This, I can do something about that today. That's ridiculous. I said, well, cool. Thank you. So that has just added up to just a phenomenal couple of days between the excursion and then meeting with them, and really all the things that my negative things for this ship. And none of them added up to the point that I was unhappy with the ship, because I'm not. It's just those accessibility issues. So that's just terrific news. All right, I've taken a lot of time talking here this morning instead of getting down to business. Today's headlines, of course, we've got to look at the weather, but it's definitely better than it's been. The main story today is what's the truth about radiance of the seas? Major cruise line has a new East Coast homeport. Majestic Princess to South America. Some of you might be interested in that. I am. Virgin Voyages returns to Portsmouth. And a little bit of a Jimmy Buffett tribute in my thoughts about Jimmy Buffett. And lots more live here at 11 o'clock this morning. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening to the podcast, if you ever want to jump over to see pictures or clips that I might be using on that day's show, there's always a link in the description of the podcast to do just that. Hi, when I was in Glacier Bay, that would have been on Friday afternoon after the show, and it was cold. It was windy. I mean, I'm bundled up like an Eskimo. I've got, like 19 layers on, including my Liberty University Elmer Fudd hat that with ear flops. And I'm not advertising Liberty University. It's the warmest hat I've ever had on my head. So I use it. I'll use it till I wear the thing out. My niece wants to steal it and burn it, but anyway, I was up on deck, which I spent about 5 hours up on deck, and all of a sudden, this lady walks up to me, and she walked up right next to where I was sitting out there. She's wet, wrapped in a towel, and she's talking to a friend of hers. I guess she gathered up her bag and stuff to go get dressed. So a few minutes later, she's out there, and I said, Can I talk to you? So my special guest on Chillie Chats today is Sharon from Brisbane. All right, guys, I have a special guest here. Is a crazy lady. She was wrapped in a towel and soaking wet, and that was about 10 minutes ago. This is Sharon from Brisbane, Australia.
Hello.
Sharon, tell us what you did to be soaking wet and wrapped in a towel.
Okay, so I went for a swim on the way to the glacier on this Sapphire Princess because my back was hurting and I thought I'd stretch it out a little bit, and it was just so beautiful in the heated pool. So yeah, that's why I went for a swim, because my back was hurting.
And then did you get in a hot tub too?
And then I decided that I would hop in the hot tub, and that was fantastic. Yeah.
Have you ever gone swimming when it's cold like this?
No, I haven't. I've never been to Alaska, and I didn't think I'd be swimming in Alaska.
All right, now back to the real questions for my guests. Traveling from Australia
Yes.
to Alaska,
Yes.
that had to take a couple hours.
Yes, so it was 13 hours to Vancouver, and then it was another couple of hours up to Anchorage. Yes. So,
Okay.
15, 16 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying the cruise so far?
Yeah, 100%. It's my first cruise.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking for something to do for a week as I found myself in Vancouver for a little bit of work. So I had 2 days where I had to be in Vancouver, and then I thought I'd have a 7-day extension and do something I'd never done before, which is cruising in Alaska.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Sharon, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
good luck if you go for another swim up here where there's all this ice.
Thank you so much.
That was Sharon from Brisbane, Australia. I've run into her several times on the ship. Folks, I mean, I've become I won't say a popular figure on cruise ships, but I end up meeting a lot of people. For some reason, on this ship, I've met more people, I think, than I have in about 8 cruises total. 4. We've developed just a extraordinarily dynamic solo meetup group. They had one the first night we were on the cruise that Princess started. And it was one of those deals where they do that the first night, and then they say, okay, if you want to do this, it's up to you. Well, I said, okay, I'll take care of it. I'll be in charge of doing the solo meetups. And it's just kept growing and growing and growing, and just a great group. So that's been a lot of fun. All right. Let's look at the weather before we get to the news, folks. The Atlantic is clearly improving from what it's been. Gert is likely to be absorbed by post-tropical cyclone Idalia later today. Gert is about 860 miles east-northeast of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds at 50. Present movement is to the north at 24 miles an hour. Minimum pressure is at 1,000. Katia is hanging on as a tropical cyclone. She's about 1,020 miles northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. 35-mile-an-hour winds. Present movements to the northwest at 7. Central pressure is 1,008. Katia is expected to become a remnant low later today or tonight, and then dissipate. And then the X down there, the red X, showers and thunderstorms continue to show signs of organization and association with a tropical wave located southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for further development. This system is expected to become a tropical depression in the next day or two. Additional strengthening is likely late in the week while the system moves westward to west-northwestward at 15 to 20 miles an hour. And this is one, folks, that's, even though it's not directly in the trough that I call it, is close enough to it and going along in that path. So, yeah, we got to watch this one, folks. 70% chance of further development in the next 48 hours, 90% in the next 7 days. This could be a system that's going to affect our cruises in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, possibly Florida, possibly. Who knows where all it's going to affect. All right, then that takes care of the Atlantic. So clearly, that's better. We're going to end up probably by tomorrow having the one storm coming across off the coast of Africa. So now in California, in the Pacific, we have one also. Why isn't the picture coming up? Okay, I'll explain it. I don't know why the picture didn't come up. Anyway, an area of low pressure is associated with a tropical wave continuing to produce showers and thunderstorms a few hundred miles south of the southwest coast of Mexico. The system has become more organized during the past 24 hours. Further development is expected, and the tropical depression will likely form during the next day or two, while the system moves westward to west-northwestward at 10 to 15, passing well south of mainland Mexico. Formation, 48 hours is about 70%, and 90% in the next 7 days. So, is this going to end up being one of those storms to nowhere, or does this thing bend around and go back up and affect the coast of Mexico? Who knows? We're going to have to watch it and see. All right. I'll be back with the news after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right. The top story today, folks, has to deal with radiance of the seas. And boy, what a mixed bag of crap is out there on this one. The basic part of this story and the first part of it, folks, is clearly Royal Caribbean's interpretation of events. Cruise passengers booked on a voyage on Royal Caribbean International's Radiance to the Seas received disappointing news recently. The cruise, scheduled to depart from Seward, Alaska, 2 days ago, this weekend, was canceled due to unforeseen mechanical problems with the vessel. This, again, is from Royal Caribbean. On a voyage that promised to take passengers on a scenic 7-day journey from Seward to Vancouver, that's the same journey I'm on right now, with stops in Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, and Haines. Travelers had high expectations for the holiday. However, those expectations were dashed when they were informed that the cruise would not proceed as planned. A letter was sent out, they're offering compensation, yada, yada, yada. The letter, all it said was that it acknowledged a technical issue, did not provide specific details about what aspect of the propulsion system was affected. Sounds to me like azipods, but I can't say that with any assurances. As of now, Royal Caribbean Lines has not provided any additional information regarding the extent of the mechanical issues on Radiance to the Seas or whether they would impact future sailings. Now, remember, they're up there in Anchorage with Seward. I was in Whittier. Seward's, same general area. And going to Vancouver. Well, the next cruise would be from Vancouver. They're not saying anything about what's happening from now until then. Here's the troubling issue. The original story, and a story that is still, at least in rumor form that's persisting, was that Radiance of the Seas had an iceberg getting up close and personal to one of the glaciers. And that damaged the ship, i.e., the propulsion system, possibly the azipods. They're not admitting to that, probably because of the bad publicity of a cruise ship hitting an iceberg. Now, obviously, the Radiance of the Seas didn't sink, but it was going along fine, and all of a sudden now it's got a propulsion issue. Enough to cancel a cruise in Alaska. It's going to a different port. It's not, a round tripper out of the same port. I don't have the answer, folks. I'm not sure what happened, what the truth is. I have checked with a dozen sources, and all of them have a different opinion about what happened. And it probably is just that. It's an opinion. Factually, they canceled this week's cruise. Beyond that, who knows? So, tricky situation from our friends over at Royal Caribbean. All right, we've talked about this a couple times in the past. All right. A cruise line has developed a new home port on the East Coast. We've talked about it coming. Well, it's here now. Norwegian Cruise Line sailed from Baltimore yesterday for the first time in the cruise line's history. Norwegian will now have Norwegian Sky and Norwegian Sun sail from Helen Delich Bentley Port of Baltimore. There'll be a mixture of cruises to the Caribbean, Bermuda, Canada, and New England. The two Norwegian ships will sail from Baltimore this fall, with Norwegian Sky returning to the port in September of 2024. Of course, the Sun and the Sky are older ships. I've been on both of them. I like both of them. I did the Sky last summer, you probably recall, with Hot Air Tom and Cindy. And it was a great cruise. So I don't mind the smaller ships. I don't mind the older ships. Yeah, they don't have the bell and whistles of the newer mega ships, which there's good things and bad things about it, the big ones. I like both the Sun and the Sky. So, and I'm glad they're in Baltimore now. That gives me another opportunity to sail again from Baltimore. I had some issues with Baltimore Cruise Port on the way they handled the disabled community. I want to go back and see if any things have been corrected or if I need to continue working with them. Nice way of saying keep from fussing at them. All right. Boy, this is one that I like seeing this morning and definitely something to look into. The Majestic Princess. And by the way, folks, let me point out, just because I had issues with accessibility on this Princess ship does not discolor my thought about Princess cruises, because everything else about the ship has been just sensational. The crew, the staff, the food, the bar services, the bartenders, man, they've been good. It's taken them no time to realize I don't like strong drinks. I much prefer a weaker drink, and I'll have more than just one strong one that I choke on. And I've not had since I think of the first drink that I ordered on this ship, I've not had one that was, not up to my liking as far as the way they're mixing my drinks. So even that's good here. The entertainment on this ship is excellent. So yeah, this does not discolor my thought about Princes, and I will continue to sell Princes. I'm going to put them in my rotation now on a regular basis. But anyway, this kind of got my interest up because you guys know it's on my bucket list. Majestic Princess will be cruising to new destinations during 24 and 25. Upon completing a fall program on the West Coast, the 2017 built ship is set to debut in two regions, South America and the Caribbean. The winter season begins with an 18-night cruise to the Andes and South America's Pacific coast. Sailing on December 1st, the one-way cruise departs from Los Angeles and includes visits to ports in Mexico, Panama, Peru, and Chile. The Majestic Princess then offers a 15-night cruise to the Cape Horn and the Strait of Magellan on December 19th. Sailing one way between Chile and Argentina, the itinerary features visits to 7 destinations in both countries and also to Montevideo in Uruguay. On the highlights of the cruise is a visit to Ushuaia in Argentina, which claims the title as the world's southernmost city. Continuing its journey across South America, the Majestic Princess head north in early 2024 with an 18-night cruise to Brazil, marking Princess' return to that country after 4 years. The cruise sails from Buenos Aires in Argentina to Port Everglades and also includes ports of call in the Caribbean. Man, that's one to definitely look at. Even segments of it. I could do it. That's on my bucket list. And yes, folks, I can't afford to go do a 74-dayer. But man, I'd like to have some sponsorships and work something out. That would be awesome. And I'm going into that full well knowing South America is not wheelchair accessible as other countries are, and that could present some problems. That will be a challenge. I don't mind that at all. All right. The Scarlet Lady sailed originally from Portsmouth in the UK, and Virgin Voyages is going back to Portsmouth. For the first time since that basis. All right, guys. Over the weekend, we lost Jimmy Buffett. I wanted to say something about it. I was lucky enough over the years to see 4 live shows by Jimmy. I met him once, very briefly, but I did meet him. I shook hands with the man once. Loved his music forever. So I was very saddened to hear of his passing. I mean, if you think about Margaritaville, you think about it's 5 o'clock somewhere. You think about Come Monday. I mean, there's hundreds of songs that we all love. I mean, especially people in the cruise industry. And it is, I feel, significant as to how much he has meant to this industry from his music. Not only do you have the Margaritaville at Sea Express that sails out of West Palm from 2-day cruises to Fort Lauderdale. That Jimmy Buffett and my friend Bernard Cosa merged to form Margaritaville at Sea Express. They've just done a big refurbishment job on that ship again. I'll go on it again to see if they fixed any of the accessibility issues, because it was terrible for accessibility. But that's okay. I mean, older ships, many of them are that way, because back then they had no idea on how to deal with handy. As far as I know, every cruise line plays some of his music with sail-aways. Have you ever done a sail-away that didn't have at least one Buffett song played? Or you didn't have entertainment that regularly do Buffett songs? I can't think of one. And I think at just about every port of call, at least in the Caribbean, every port has a Margaritaville. And I've been to most of them. I don't mind telling you. I get into a port of call, and I don't mind at all going and having a sandwich or an adult beverage at Margaritaville. I mean, I do the same thing with Senor Frogs, too. But I mean, there's Margaritavilles literally everywhere. Now you got the new Margaritaville communities. I mean, what a magnificent businessman he was, in addition to being a prolific, talented writer that has meant so much to the cruise industry. So I can just say, rest in peace, Jimmy. Man, are we going to miss you. Good guy. Actually, he was born Christmas Day in 1946. Of course, he died September 1st of Merkel cell cancer, a extremely rare form of skin cancer. So, sad day for all of us. All right. That's going to wrap up the news portion of today. Let's go see who's in the chat room fussing at me, and then I've got to decide if I'm going ashore when we get to Ketchikan or not. We're getting pretty close to Ketchikan now, but we're not there yet. All right. Who's fussing at me in the chat room today? Joanne is with us. Hi, Joanne. Kenneth's here. By the way, let me point out, folks, I tried doing one a pop-up StreamYard live from this ship. And StreamYard does not allow me, at least I haven't figured out how to do it yet. It's not clear on the phone, because I'm using the phone as a webcam, how to flip the orientation of the camera. In other words, right now it's on selfie mode. I call it that, where it shows my face. But let's say I'm interviewing somebody, like I did with my friend from Brisbane, Australia there. I started off with my original question with the camera on me. I flipped the phone to put her on the camera. And it's just a touch of a button to flip it. But when I'm on a StreamYard live, I can't do that. So it makes doing a live on the StreamYard, unless I'm in a situation like this that's stable. I can't go around doing lives and like do a tour of something, because I've got to turn the phone around, and then I can't see exactly what I'm filming. I ran into issues with that on the wells yesterday because I just kept the video running, but between the sun and the air and the glare, I couldn't necessarily see that I had it framed in just right, or trying to increase it so I could pull it in at a distance. So I got a ton of editing to do to make that usable, but it will. But anyway, so I've been doing Facebook Lives. And I do pop-ups whenever I think of anything or whenever I see something I'd like to share with you guys. And I've been getting a lot of folks joining in and leaving comments. And so it's been great. But I can't do anything with those. I did one on the ship yesterday, trying to show you guys actually live, show you some whales. I can't use that afterwards. I can't edit it up and put it in a video or anything like that. Facebook won't let me do that. I can even download it, even though it's, my stuff that I do on my Facebook page or whatever it's called. If anybody knows how to do that, let me know, because I'd sure like to use the Facebook stuff until I can get StreamYard to where I can do a stream just like this show when I want to do those kind of pop-up live streams. Hot Air Thomas here. We're back in Richmond today. Very good. Good flight back from Boston. Arrived about 45 minutes early. You must have had a tailwind. Been busy booking excursions from April 24 transatlantic New York to Rome, Spain. Ports for the most part was going to see Pisa. That would be the Leaning Tower. Mike's with us. Hi, Mike. Glad you enjoy your excursions over the weekend. I'll pay it with the difficulties. Yeah, and I don't know if I've gotten weaker or if all my mechanical issues are progressing. I don't know. But boy, it's a real struggle going up those 3 or 4 or 5 steps to get to a bus, a seat on the bus. And then my breathing is horrible for about 10 minutes. I mean, I huff and puff and can't even get a word out until I get the breathing back under control. And that's with oxygen going, folks. That's not sitting there like I'm sitting here right now. Everybody knows I got oxygen sitting right next to me if I need it. But as long as I'm sitting still, I'm good. So most of the time, if I'm rolling around on my chair in my scooter, I don't have to have it on. But if I get out of that chair and try to go up those 6 steps, I would literally pass out from the strain if I didn't have oxygen. And then I get so winded just doing that. It takes me, at least 10 minutes to get back to where I can even say hello. Anyway, maybe somebody will come up with a cure for my lung issues. Marissa's here. Happy to have the day off so I can catch you live. I watch the replay from the day before every morning while I get ready. Well, thank you very much, Marissa, and welcome in the family. That being said, since I watch the replay, which is more beneficial to you, meaning which benefits you more, if I watch on YouTube or listen to the podcast, makes no difference. It's always good for me to worry about and try to improve my numbers with YouTube because I do generate some income from YouTube. So yeah, that is beneficial to me. And I don't make a whole lot of money. I'm not like Emma and some of my friends that make enough money to pay for this. I still do most of this out of my pocket. And I'm also honest about that, if I'm hosting a cruise for somebody, I get a deal, or free, depending on the numbers. So yeah, that helps out some. My ambassadorship with Scooter Out and Will Power Chairs doesn't pay me any cash money, but it's certainly provided transportation now for a couple of years that I haven't had to pay for scooters. And now I've got a new chair when I get home that I've got to get used to. And see, it's one of those that you have to take apart to get it in and out of the car. So I got to see, I'm hoping how easy that is to do. But yeah, other than that, Marissa, I mean, all my numbers are looked at by folks. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to a podcast or you're listening to watching me live. I mean, that you being here helps me out in any form. And yeah, if you do something that affects YouTube more than other places, that probably helps me the most. So, but anyway, I'm glad you're here and glad you made it today. Of course, it is. I didn't even mention this before because I got sidetracked running my mouth. Can't imagine that. Happy Labor Day to everybody. Sonny's with us down in Mississippi. Hi, Sonny. Sonny says, hit the thumbs up. Yes, I certainly do appreciate that. There's Dennis. Hello, Dennis. Oh, yeah, I meant to show you something that Kenneth and Robin sent. I have looked on this one, and it does have the pool. Okay, yeah. Let me go back here. See if some of you, I'll give you guys a quiz. And quite frankly, I failed. Did I? Oh, there it is. All right. This came from Robin and Kenneth. Kenneth, do you know what that is? I'll give you a second to think about that. Obviously, that's in the hall on a cruise ship. And I have seen similar things on cruise ships numerous times and never even thought much about it other than somebody left a little table in the hall. I mean, they're all kind of leaving scooters in the hall and whatever. But I really did not know what that officially meant. So now you've had a chance to think about it. That's a room with a COVID patient. That table is there so they can bring the person or couple or whatever it is inside food and leave it out in the hall so they don't have to have contact with the person. If I thought about that seriously, I might have come to that conclusion, but it certainly didn't pop into my brain when I saw that at first. So, Ken and Robin, even though I didn't get to your Panama pictures today, thank you for that. That was a good post, and it was something that I just didn't equate, even though I know that happens. Hot Air says, when I was on your chat with StreamYard, the view choice was in icons prior to actually entering the chat. To change, I had to leave the chat and select another view choice and then re-enter. Okay. Dennis says, I enjoy Margaritaville jerk prawns and also have their lime prawns. Yeah, I've had that as well. I like the vibe. Of course, it was really kind of cool when I was in Falmouth, Jamaica. They marked the fact that I had been to every Margaritaville on Jamaica. So, and it gave me a T-shirt for that. All right, let's see. I got back to where I was supposed to be. Waikiki, Taipei, Lahaina. Do you notice an AI pattern? Lahaina, Lahaina. Oh, Lahaina, Lahaina. Kahului. I think I did Kahului right, but Lahaina, I probably did wrong. Okay, thank you, Dennis. Chillie, I looked on this. One does have the pool and hot tub lifts. That's what he said that they had those. And half the bathroom have electric doors. Yeah, all it's required from the ADA to be ADA compliant is in public areas. You don't have to have an ADA compliant restroom for every restroom bank, which means with a men's and a women's. So it's perfectly acceptable. Let's say on the aft part of the ship, there's a men's room on the starboard side and a women's room on the port side, and maybe there's an ADA compliant restroom unisex on one side or the other. And then you go maybe to midship on another bank, there might be another ADA compliant on the the opposite side from before, just so they are more of them, and the accessibility is better, and they're not required to have one at every bank. I call them a bank of restrooms, but you have to have one reasonably close. I mean, for the very reasons the handicapped community, and I make no bones about it, folks. I mean, because of the damage to my bladder and all of the, I spent over a year in a catheter. There are times if I have to pee, I gotta pee, and I don't have necessarily time to go looking for a restroom. So it's got to be one close that I can get in and out. So yeah, what he said about Emerald was that much that they did not have was fixed almost immediately, and I'm looking for the same thing to happen with Sapphire Canopy. I felt really good after that meeting yesterday. Nikki's with us. Hi, Nikki. Of course, she's down in Jacksonville. Says, welcome back, Tom. Joanne says, good for you, Chillie. Advocating. Would some physical therapy help when you get home? I've done about all with therapy I can do. And I don't know. That's why I went back to all through the pulmonology folks this summer. Well, I stayed home this summer trying to get a handle on it. And it just, I'm not sure that the situation I'm in can ever get any better. So I just make do with what I got as long as I got. And, and like I told my family, if I'm, if I kick the bucket on a cruise, then I die a happy man, because you guys know how much I love to be doing what I'm doing now. Whether I make any money doing it or not is insufficient. But I really am thrilled when I know that I have affected someone somehow for the industry betterment in the future. That to me is thrilling. Just thrilling. I had a lady last night. She happened to be sitting in a hot tub as I was rolling by, and she called me over and said, "Can I ask you a couple questions?" I said, "Sure." And her mother has just gone to a chair, and her mother wants to travel. And I said, "Great." And she said, "But I'm so worried that she'll get into trouble." Yeah, no, don't. Your mother wants to travel. She can travel. I do. She can get in trouble. She can have problems at home. She can have problems doing something she wants to do. Let her do what she wants to do. Okay. Oh, well. So anyway, just little things like that. Sonny agrees. Rest in peace, Jimmy. There's Steve out in Kentucky. Hey, Steve. If Royal Caribbean can't get the ship to Vancouver in that week, that the next cruise to Vancouver could be canceled too. I mean, that's what I figure. But I get so aggravated at the cruise lines because they don't ever want to tell you the whole story. They want to not cover it necessarily, which is not very forthcoming with a lot of these things. And I found out about them late and after the fact that they could have been so much better just letting us know what the problem is and we can deal with it. And for the most part, cruisers are very adaptable people. We have to be, and we're big boys and girls, and we wear big boy pants. So you throw something at us we're not real fond of, we don't like, we get along without it. We make a change. So I hate it when they hide us. They don't tell us the whole story, and they code it with, sure coding. I just don't. I'm not sure that really helps them come along. All right, let's see who else there. Montevideo. Yeah, that's right. That's a fantastic South American itinerary. Yeah, I'm really tempted. I'm going to have to do some serious looking at cost and my schedule too. But one day I'm going to do that, guys. I promise you that. Unless Hot Air Tom can cough up for a world cruise for children. Yeah, come on with it, Hot Air Tom. That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd like to have some sponsorship. That would be terrific. And I don't care. It could be a cruise line. It could be somebody that makes jockey shorts. I don't care. I'll be happy to advertise for them. Advertise around the world. That'd be lovely. Dennis says, Tom, that itinerary will probably sell out. So probably no last minute deals. Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be very popular too. There's no Buffett on Disney Sail Away. Yeah, I haven't done a Disney cruise, so you're probably right about that. They don't do any Buffett songs on Disney. I can see that. They do it. Everybody else has got to play a Buffett song, I think. I have avoided buffets since 2014. 2 unsanitary pigs. Yeah. And the other buffet. Most of you know that I rarely do the buffet for dinner, occasionally for lunch, because I know I can get salad, I can get something light. I really try to stay away from bread as much as possible on cruises. I have my dessert at night, but I only have one, no matter what. And then there's some nights, like last night, that I pigged out, but it was on reasonably healthy stuff. So that was just an awesome dinner last night. I had surf and turf, and I also had mustard seared ahi tuna, and oh my stars, was that good! That was better than the surf and turf last night. But I had both, and I had two appetizers. Yeah, that was a big out night for me. I do the buffet breakfast. Matter of fact, it's time for me to go get my breakfast. I haven't eaten yet today, and I've been up a long time. When I was on your chat, StreamYard already did that. Dennis says, by the way, Tom, he's by a train from Livorno for a short visit, then nip to Florence by train. That's a good suggestion. Balcony furniture. That's what I thought first too, was balcony furniture. Lounge chair footstool. Yeah, they put fast food on that stool. Drop it and run. Yes, they do. Lahaina. Okay. You got me, Dennis. I think I'll remember that now, because I've said it wrong all my life. Hot Air says, exciting news. My limo company has contracted phone salesperson who is living in Eastern Europe. She arrived by a train into DC last night and had a ride to Richmond. Nice. Her drop address was about a mile and a half from home. I will be picking her up to take her to the office tomorrow for a tour. She has been an excellent employee, so excited to meet her. Very nice. Congratulations, Hot Air Tom. Talking about cruise lines not spelling out the details, people are now canceling early 24 Panama Canal cruises for fear NCL will drop the canal from the itinerary. Who wants a PC cruise with no, with no PC? Of course, I understand that. I am picturing my mind Chillie advertising for the Manscaped trimmers. Yeah, I can see that now. Oh, that's funny out there, Tom. I don't know if anybody caught that one, but I did. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, admittedly, I prefer having somebody sponsor me that do something with cruising or travel. That was a good line out there, Tom. All right, guys, I got to go eat breakfast. And I'm going to do something. I don't know. It looks like it's rainy out there, too. If it's rainy, I might not go at all, because I've been wet 4 or 5 times on this cruise, and I sure don't want to end up sick before it's over with. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. I sure appreciate all of you being here. Wow, it's been a long show today. I've run my mouth more than normal. So anyway, guys, as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising. Hopefully one day soon, we'll all get together on the high seas. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow. And maybe I'll have a plan by then for Wednesday, because I'm not sure what's going to happen on Wednesday. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. Have a phenomenal day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie Chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.